Hey guys, it's Britt, and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd do a video that kind of ties in with a blog post that I did recently on my top 5 favorite graphic novels. Now before I get into my top 5, I do want to say I haven't read that many graphic novels during my time here as a reader, but I have read quite a few good ones and very popular ones as well. I am nowhere near an expert, nor have I read enough books whatsoever to be making a video like this, but I want to do it anyway. And I'm first going to start out with some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is Black Panther by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Now, this graphic novel I actually had to read for a class, but I saw the movie first, which was phenomenal. But I do have to say, this graphic novel was really good. But it is a bit confusing because it does differ from the movie, and also you're just kind of thrown into the world without any explanation whatsoever. So if I didn't see the movie beforehand, I would be far more confused than if I didn't watch the movie. And I will say, I was still confused reading this because obviously there are some plot and character differences compared to the graphic novel. My second honorable mention, which I also read for my class recently, is Lumberjanes, by a whole bunch of female creators, which is amazing. And basically this book follows some girls who are, I believe, in either middle school or like the beginning of high school. It's more of a middle grade graphic novel, but it's still really fun and I love it. It follows these girls who go to kind of like a Girl Scout camp, but it's more, I guess, gender fluid, you could say, and it's all about female empowerment and female friendship. And these girls go on different adventures, and they kick some fantastical monster butt, which is so much fun, right? It sounds like such a great novel, and it really was, so I also recommend this one as well. My last honorable mention is from an author who I believe is quite well known in the graphic novel universe, and that is The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. Now, this is a hefty book, so I'm going to put it down because it's hurting my arm. And basically that book follows a man who kind of gains his superpowers to be able to sculpt things and then bring them to life. And it kind of follows his life as it whirlwinds out of control. And this was almost one of the first graphic novels I read, and one of the longest graphic novels I've ever read, but it was really fun to read. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the actual books that are my top 5 graphic novels. And these are in no particular order, but the first one I have is Barefoot Gen by Keiji Nakazawa. Now this graphic novel is all in black and white, and again, I had to read it for class, surprise surprise. But this is a really emotional graphic novel. It follows this boy named Gen and his family in Japan. And this novel takes place during World War II, when Japan is eventually losing the war, and the people of Japan are struggling to make ends meet and find food, and the government's really not helping them. And Gen's family is actually against the war, which makes their time even more difficult because their community turns against them. And then at the end of the book, I'm sure you can kind of guess what happens. The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki happened. So you can really assume that this book is quite sad to read, but I still think it's such an important read, and it was very entertaining to read as well. The next book I have is Embroideries by Marjane Satrapi. Once again, a surprise, I had to read this book for class, and this book takes place in the 90s in Iran, and it is basically a bunch of stories about marriage and sex and growing up and friendship and all of that, told by women from different ages, from their teens all the way to their 60s and 70s. And this is really just like a feminist read, and it's one that I highly recommend to everyone. This book is so funny. You have no idea how hilarious this book is. I was not expecting this whatsoever. It had me laughing out loud. Even though it sounds like a book that not everybody would like, I still recommend for everyone to see because it really talks about women's struggles in the world. And I think it's just another important read. The third book I have is quite popular, and that is Saga. Now, I'm not really going to go into it because I'm sure you all know what Saga is about. And I would say that it does deserve some hype, but I wasn't as hyped about this book as everyone else is after reading it. It's still really good and a really fun read, but I just found it to be not disappointing, but the way that everybody was hyping it up, I was expecting a lot more, but I do plan on continuing the series as well. The next book I have is Snot Girl. Now, I bought this book because of the artistic style. It's just so much fun, and so colorful. And it's about this fashion beauty blogger who's really famous online, and she basically gets tangled up in like this murder mystery. It's a bit confusing, I will admit, because you don't understand what the heck is going on. But there are more coming out in the series, so I do plan on continuing this. The fifth and final book I have for you is Blue is the Warmest Color by Julie Morrow. Now this is an LGBTQ+ book that takes place in the 90s again, but this time in France. And it follows these two women, Clementine and Emma. And Clementine is struggling coming to terms with her sexuality until she really meets Emma and they start to form a relationship. And this book follows Clementine's struggles as she has to come out to both her family and friends, or she is actually kind of forced out of the closet. And it's about her struggle mentally and emotionally coming to terms with herself, as well as the reaction to the people who were so close to her. And again, this is also a little bit sad, but I think it's a really important read that all people should be reading. Although I wouldn't say it's for younger people, I'd actually recommend this for maybe high school seniors or up, because it does have a little bit of explicit content. Nevertheless, this book is so amazing, and I also had to read it for class, but I enjoyed reading it all the way through, and I just felt like it really impacted me and gave me more insight on the LGBTQ+ community. Alright, so that's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you tune into my next videos because I will be posting more often, I promise. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!